never forget the day that I found myself frozen in stillness, unable to move as my eyes became locked in on the person staring back at me in the mirror. A person I did not recognize. A person that in that very moment was the first time I discovered had become a complete, utter stranger. Which is sadly, so many people in toxic relationships or having had endured narcissistic abuse have or one day will suddenly find themselves discovering this horrible, disparaging place to be in is exactly the very place that they are. So I wanted to go over, for one, why this happens, as it is no coincidence. So two, what separates this from other situations or circumstances that causes one to feel stuck or out of focus with who they are, as well as how it plays a huge part and one of the biggest contributors behind why one stays long after they are very aware that something isn't quite right here. Combination of the erosion that the narcissist causes to one's intuition and introspection with the physiological changes that take place in the brain that ultimately makes this so much worse and leads to one truly losing complete touch with who they are. Areas of the brain that help create this perfect storm: frontal lobe, midbrain, amygdala, and hippocampus. Frontal lobe being more or less the CEO of our brain, overseeing crucial everyday functions, how we manage keeping things in order, make logical decisions, ensures we don't go running about naked in the streets, flail our arms and doing cartwheels anytime we get news about something or have an emotional shift, due to our frontal lobe's ability to analyze, plan, and weigh consequences. However, when the uninvited, conniving intruder, narco abuse, comes busting through the doors of our brain's board meeting, our CEO is about to undergo a hostile takeover. Narco, wasting no time, starts off with seeing how well our CEO can juggle medicine balls, jam-packed, fully weighted with gaslighting, manipulation, and mental torment, which at first the CEO is able to pull off rather efficiently, being in shape and well rested. Over time, eventually starts to wane, but narco abuse keeps tossing more medicine balls to the mix to see just how many they can juggle. Now, with the CEO under siege, our midbrain, associated with primal instinct, is locked and loaded like Clint Eastwood, ready to make its grand entrance and activate survival mode, willing to shoot from the hip if this rowdy clown, narco abuse, tries to pull off some kind of crazy circus act or demonic magic trick, and will do it without much thought, with survival mode in activation, decision-making bypassing our frontal lobe when our survival mode is activated, and our decisions become based off instinct and the subconscious versus the conscious, leading to choices that seem sometimes erratic, irrational, impulsive, or contrary to our best interest. It can vary depending on what survival mode the subconscious chooses for us to go into. If it believes that we can conquer the danger, well then we go into fight mode. If it believes that you ain't got a shot in hell, it's going to cue you to run away. If it feels that you're not going to win the fight, but running might not suit you well either, freeze mode becomes activated, and when all three of these don't work, then into the fawn mode you go, unwittingly going along with whatever is putting you in danger due to the fear of what could happen to you if you don't. Though these survival modes are good in short-term situations, long-term become more of a hindrance, which is the case in these toxic relationships because the abuse is continued constantly, day in and day out, leaving one stuck in this survival mode. In turn, their typical functions become dysfunctional. So now, with all of this already working against you, the narcissist is now loaded with ammunition and able to use this maladaptive survival mechanism in their favor as a weapon against you as your intuition and introspection begin to crumble. Because narco abuse reduces your intuition's whisper to that of a volume level of one of their silent treatments. That shit is undetectable and ultimately gives them their main source of power over you as it becomes combined with the next two pieces of the puzzle by going after now one's second brain located in the gut. Hence why you always hear someone say to go with it. Due to our having a gut-brain connection, literally using our gut, aka our intuition, to help guide guide our decisions and keep us safe. But as the narcissist malevolence intensifies, our intuition takes an even deeper plummet as these masters of creating uncertainty and doubt have at it doing what they do best, brain fucking you into a state of confusional mayhem to the point where you are now second-guessing everything, leading to a further decline in your self-confidence, increases your self-doubt, constantly being told a completely different version to have happened than did or what was said. Repeatedly gaslighting you over and over begins to take a toll on your reality and perception, more or less training you to think that you're always wrong and your perception's distorted. So any gut feelings that you had associated are also deemed by your subconscious now as wrong. Slowly, your intuition becomes more hushed, no longer being viewed as something to which is reliable. And well, let's just say that how narcissists view others in general certainly isn't helping a brother or sister out by means of it preventing your inner guidance from plummeting face first into the pavement, seeing all others as objects, taking no account or even recognizing others as an entity with their own feelings, values, and opinions. And as such, your feelings constantly are getting undermined or overlooked altogether, causing greater deficit in your ability to trust your own judgment and legitimacy of your own feelings. Over time, you get to a point where you no longer think it's safe to be emotionally authentic when one begins walking on eggshells and tiptoeing around the narcissist as to not wake the beast, resulting from the uncertainty that you have in yourself. And to add to the fun is the astronomical use of fabricated bullshit, extreme exaggeration, and never-ending lies that steadily flow from their lips, not only destroying the trust in any and all of their relationships. This too takes a huge toll on your mental and emotional psyche as an individual due to the interpersonal nature of these relationships. The lies and betrayal cutting way deeper to the core creates more of a lack of trust in yourself, lack of trust that you have in yourself. The more we become disconnected with our intuition. Within this disconnect causes the erosion within our introspection. As we stop altogether even attempting to look within, and the more disconnected we become with our intuition's inner wisdom and inner guidance, and no longer from within, we slowly become more and more reliant on what the narcissist needs, wants, or makes us perceive to believe, becoming more dependent on them, feeling as if they literally are the only way that we will survive. Now, with our introspection being just like that thing we used to do, referred to often as laughing, it's but a thing in the past. And our intuition still sitting on the fence, teetering between whether it should retire and take up knitting or give it a go in becoming a host, the new game show, Try to Guess What Shit's For Real. As clearly, its time in being your inner guidance is coming near its end, as each passing day goes by, disconnecting more and more. And in turn, the narcissist becoming more powerful, as now you're easier to manipulate, betray, and confuse, provoking their much-needed supply from you, but a breeze, as the narcissist knows where you doubt yourself, how to make you feel guilty, and how devastated you will be when you catch wind of the smear campaign, suggesting that it's you doing the pathological, horrendous, malicious things that they are in fact doing to you. They can show others just how you are, as well as make you look more crazy when you try to defend yourself, till eventually you stop even bother trying to defend these verifiable lies, feeling trapped, powerless, and worthless. The colors of your life have lost all vibrancy, and even the simplest tasks have become arduous challenges. Your passions, interests, now distant and forgotten, nothing more than an empty shell of a person that you one day will look up and not recognize its reflection. A face to which once was familiar has become a stranger. Well, let me tell you, staring into your eyes that feel more like staring into that of a stranger is not just unsettling, it is soul-shattering and crippling, which is the part that I left out in the beginning. After I found myself frozen in stillness, locked eyes with what to now was a stranger staring back at me in the mirror, proceeded with my knees buckling, bringing me to the floor, laying there in the middle of my living room, fetus position, crying the ugliest cry that I've ever had in my lifetime. But after I was done and was able to gather myself up from off of that floor is what became the beginning of the end to my being in this nightmarish hell married to Satan. As I walked over to the mirror, stared that stranger dead in the eyes, told her that I was sorry, and then began crying again as I proceeded to vouch to this stranger that I was not going to let her die. And from that point on, did whatever it took in order to remember just who that person in the mirror was. At one point, referred to as mine. And that is when the game changed. You do not need the narcissist, but you do need that person in the mirror, because without them, there is nothing. So fight for you. Save you. Fuck the narcissist.